Hello again. We're going to try a few new things with the setup today, which is appropriate because I'm here with everyone's favorite camera hog, the Decepticons' resident observer, blackmailer, and background army builder, deluxe scale War for Cybertron Siege Refraktor, or as he's more commonly known, Reflector. Now, Refractor is kind of a bit of a weird one, especially compared to his toy buddies. His original 80s toy was actually three separate robots, Spectro, Viewfinder, and Spyglass, who each transformed into 1/3 of an alt mode and then gestalted themselves in their combiner kibble into a single camera called Reflector. But then the cartoon simplified him down into three dudes who looked a lot like Viewfinder but still combined into a camera. And then they used him in a lot of background shots to fill out the Decepticon army, sort of the same thing they did with recoloring Starscream's model to make more Seekers. And he/they barely did or had anything to do in the show that someone else couldn't do, had the same size-changing problems as the other former micro-change toys like Megatron or Blaster, and was never widely commercially available in the West because he was just a mail-away item you had to special order. Anyway, poor guy kind of got the short end of the stick, especially when it came to toys. Like, there was a Target Master scaled one that came with Scrapnel in 2014, then a BotCon exclusive retool of Combiner Wars Shockwave where they gave you 3 of them and then asked the fans to come up with combined modes, and really that was kind of it for 30 years, which, you know, makes a little sense. Hasbro and Takara Tomy already have enough issues adapting some of the old A-list micro-change characters into newer toys, either for legal reasons or because the thing they turn into isn't as common anymore, which is why Megatron turns into a tank now, and Soundwave turns into a, well, dropship. And then you have to remember that Reflector is also kind of the lowest tier possible in terms of memorable G1 characters that actually appeared in the cartoon. At least the other B and C rank characters had personalities. All poor D rank Reflector had was the background army filler and camera gimmick, and even in Transformers it's usually not enough to get you a visit from the Toy Fairy unless you've got a convention or mail-away exclusive. But then, yes, with War for Cybertron's focus on G1, S1, E1 characters and designs, and with the Autobots being so disproportionately represented in the toy line and most of the Decepticons being made up of Megatron and Soundwave and the inevitable Starscream repaints, along with the occasional surprise, it seemed that the time was right for our boy to finally get some focus. So, say hello to Refractor. And hey, it's not that terrible of a name change. I mean, Refractor, refraction, prisms, light, that whole fan idea that there's only one Reflector and he just has the power to make hard light holographic duplicates of himself. I mean, it makes sense to me. Now, I feel like I should quickly talk about my relationship to the character. I haven't got one. I never watched the original show due to not being born yet, and I didn't inherit a secondhand copy off of an older sibling or cousin, so it's not like I have some deep-seated love for Reflector. I'm not even a huge camera person, that's more my little brother's hobby. I love the G1 styles, just not a huge fan of OG G1. So I'm coming at Refractor here from a relatively neutral perspective. Now, Refractor is a very boxy bot. He kind of feels like the first robot you see in those how-to-draw books, all simple angles and square bits. He's basically a bunch of cardboard boxes stacked together, or a G1 animation model. He's basic, as the kids say. Lovely lavender hues here, mixed in with the not-so-glamorous gray and some splashes of silver and a metallic green element behind this transparent chest piece, and yet he still feels very ho-hum and boring. In a good way. He's even got these silver and red stripes on the boots and swivel joints where the animation model would have had little details like that. Gorgeously done face with a beautiful pair of red eyes and a subtle, almost smirk. Basically, all of the Siege robot modes have the same sort of attention done to them, making them as close to the G1 models as possible, and I think Refractor here nails that the best. No alt mode kibble visible for reasons that will become apparent shortly. Oh, lovely little hole in the back there, which really helps sell that G1 animation model look. He looks very accurate to the Viewfinder toy and the overall Reflector animation model, with the noted addition of some lovely fiddly details that help make him feel less boring without distracting from the overall package. Sort of like we've only ever seen him on an old VHS recording and then someone restored the original footage to Blu-ray quality, revealing all sorts of luscious details we've never been able to see before. Lovely. Oh, and also a distinct lack of Siege battle damage. Some people like it, a lot of people don't. I'm usually indifferent, but they left it off of Refractor, and that's fine. Maybe Soundwave stole all the detailing. Also, does anyone else notice how many lavender or purple bots the Decepticons have? Reflector, Galvatron, Cyclonus, Shockwave... Okay, maybe it isn't really that many, but it just kind of feels like it. Now, Refractor comes with 3 accessories, and like the rest of the Siege line, they all have weird names, and no one really cares what they are. A gun, a shield, and a rotor thingy. The gun has a nice design. A big barrel port with lots of pegs to attach things to, and a great big pizza slice style drum magazine down here. Looks kind of like it's based on Viewfinder's original gun, but I don't have that here to compare it to. The shield is nice too, a hemi-cylindrical shape with some pegs and hand holders, as well as this weird piece of transparent plastic that doesn't seem to do much. I wonder what that could be for. And then this rotor thing doesn't do anything. Okay, so it's supposed to plug into Refractor's belly to make him look like Reflector's model and Viewfinder's toy, and it also plays a part in the transformation, but that's about it. The name certainly suggests that it's a device that helps shrink Refractor down so he's the right size for someone to hold him. Now, those of you who remember the cartoon and the various Reflectors might recall that usually only the main Reflector in the group had the tummy disc, and that other Reflectors only had a purple and green chest with no disc. So, you can take it off and voila! You have a slightly different Reflector for squad building purposes. And now, I love this thing. If you're not using it, you could just put the disc to one side, but fortunately we have other options that are less likely to lose parts. You can pop it onto his butt for comedic effect and to negatively impact his waist articulation. Or you can fold his head down and peg it into this hole here for an even more drone-like look. And he's got a lot of pegs and ports for the Siege Weaponizer and Weapon Blast gimmicks, but honestly I'm just kind of not into that part of the toy line. It's so hard to make a combined Weaponizer mode that looks good, and I'm not usually into the posing thing for my toys. I like them standing tall and cool, not getting shot up and blasted to bits. Though that would be appropriate for this guy. In terms of posability, he's pretty solid. Head looks side to side like that. Can kind of look down and can also kind of way look back, but that's really more for the transformation. Full shoulder articulation, arm bends out at that kind of oddly placed angle, arms swivel, double jointed arms. He bends up quite nicely and also makes a terrifying broken arm shape. No waist swivel, but that's because of the transformation. Has hip rotation, very solid joint, but it's there. Lovely kick forward and back and to the side. Can totally do the Van Damme splits. Jeez Louise, that's kind of nuts. Leg swivel here, 50-degree bend at the knee, cannot unfold bits for any further articulation. Beautiful little ankle tilt here. It's a full 90-degree turn, but if you close it just slightly, creates this nice effect. It almost looks like a bellows from a forge or something, and then a toe bend, which is a part of the transformation, but you can use it. So pretty solid. He can do a nice, standing at attention pose if you don't mind seeing the fact that his forearm is completely hollow, or you can give him a good dynamic power pose. Yes. Oh, that looks good. I like the ability to do the dynamic power pose in Quake and Trigger Happy. This guy does it so well. He just feels like a soldier ready to go into a fight. Love it. All right, we already popped the accessories off, so we might as well get to the transformation. The steps might seem a little bit weird, but there is a reason for the order. Okay, take the head, spin it around, and flip this panel back down. Rotate the hip section so that he is mooning you. Take the arm, fold the hand up, rotate the arm inward at the shoulder, and then rotate the arm like this so that this little peg is lined up with this little hole here, and peg that in. Repeat on the other side to basically lock the legs in. Spread the legs just a little bit because that will make this next part easier. Pop this little detail out, all the way out, like so, and then rotate the legs inward, just 90 degrees, that's all you need to do, so that they are aligned like that. And you can peg them together at this point if you would like. Fold one of the toes inward and peg the gun into this hole. It will not fit in that one. Make sure that the peg he was using is pointed upwards. Fold the other toe in and peg those together and straighten that out just a little bit. Now, this might look a little bit floppy, but we're about to fix that. Go to the chest, unfold this piece here, fold it forward, and further unfold the chest, and peg these two pieces on the window into these little holes here to lock the vehicle together. And then we take this little rotor and we plug it into the head hole right there. And then we take the shield and its little peg here, and we put it into this hole. There's little cutouts here that will align with this piece here to keep it from going too far in, and we just push that in like that, and you're done, and you have the gunship mode. And, well, let's be honest, it's a box. A purple and gray box. It's basically Refraktor holding his gun between his toes and then planking. This is almost like one of those fan modes people make sometimes, like when they figure out how to fold a tank-style Megatron into a gun shape, except it's actually intended and designed to look like this. But I think it actually works for him. It feels like a lightweight gun or torpedo boat that only has one gun and basically goes down in one hit that is intended to fly around harassing enemies. These lightweight landing skids on the inside look great for such a dinky guy. I mean, it's kind of a perfect vehicle mode for a background grunt to have, like a sort of zero effort, no frills, anything. And I quite like it in its own way. Maybe if it had some little fold-out wings from the legs on the side for stability, it might look a little better, but maybe that's just some extra complexity that we don't need. He doesn't really do anything else in this mode. He's got some pegs on the side here, and I'm not sure what they're for. I guess you could have one of the larger bots hold him like a gun, but he's so ridiculously huge it's almost impossible to pose him that way. Nope, never mind. The clearances are not good enough, and it will not fit into the peg, so I guess you can't have him as a giant gun. Oh well. Maybe another bot can hang from him like a glider, but that would be a little awkward and hard to display. Still, it's a thing. Kind of wish he had some pegs on the top here so that a larger transformer could ride him like a hoverboard. It would certainly fit in with his exists-to-be-abused existence. Oh my god, is Reflector the G1 version of Waspinator? Finally, Waspinator is not alone! Articulation. There is none. Okay, I guess you can bend his nose downward so he's hanging his gun in shame, but that's more a leftover from his robot mode, and so it doesn't count. But what do you expect? It's an awkward purple box with all of his extra bits stuck to him to make him look like a spaceship. Let's be honest, the gunship mode is just something to do with him until you get two more of him. Oh my. So here we are, and they look amazing together as a group. So animation accurate, so delightfully generic, just enough customization with the Tomy disc to make your own little fire team, and enough posability for some great action poses, or whatever you want to do with them. Army builders are kind of a rare thing in Transformers compared to the likes of Star Wars, so a decent one is hard to come by for a not terrible price, and besides the sweeps and the Sharkticons, we really haven't seen much in the past few years. Yes, Refraktor is made for army building. Literally, that's what Hasbro wants you to do. I mean, with their secondary alt mode, you can either have one or you can have three. No middle ground. Wait, another alt mode? Could it be? Yes. Yes, it could. All right, let's put them together. Roll the film. Start from the robot mode. Rotate the head and fold it into the back. Store the hand. Rotate the arms outward so that this stripe is visible, and fold the forearm so it cocks at the elbow joint slightly and looks like this. Fold both arms back at the shoulders, like so. Rotate the hips. Rotate the legs, and open the landing struts all the way. This will make the next part easier. Peg the legs and feet together. Bend the legs backwards at the hips. This next part's a little fiddly, but it's not too terrible. You're going to fold back at the knees so that the arms tuck into the legs like so, and this little tab here is going to fit into that slot there. So just fold it up and over and push it down to lock it in like so. And then you fold the struts in to complete the greeblies, and now you've got a box. Repeat 2 more times. Take 2 and spin them around so they're backwards and their shins are facing the front. And then peg the modules together on either side, like so, and you've got, well, a longer box. But we're not done yet. Peg one of the rotors into this chest piece here. Take the 3 shields. Their slots, tabs, and transparent pieces will overlap nicely, and they will fit together into a camera lens. Notice these tabs here and these slots here. these lock in like so to help hold the whole thing together. But we're still not quite done. Take the 3 guns. Notice the tabs and the slots, both on the magazine and at the top of the gun. You're going to want to fit them together like so. They will fit nicely and neatly together. Take one of the rotors and fit these tabs into these slots to lock the whole thing together. Take the camera, find this hole on the bottom, and insert the tripod into the base of the structure. Now, this isn't strictly a part of the transformation, but I always take this 3rd rotor and plug it into the head of the guy on the left here to make the camera trigger button. And it's what the Recon Team 3-pack does, so I'm pretty sure that's what you're supposed to do. And now you have Refractor's combined camera mode. And... oh my god, this thing is so stupid and amazing, and I love it! I mean, look at it! It's a camera! It's an almost life-size camera. Like, you can hold this in your hands, and it's so heavy and dense. You can even fold the toes on this one up so that it looks like a camera flash, kind of. Like, what is this even for? This makes no sense in the scale of the Transformers universe. It's a giant camera. It's giant even for a race of giant robots. I don't think even Omega Supreme or Unicron could hold him. Why would the Decepticons even need a camera? They've got Laserbeak for recon stuff. Like, what even is this? Okay, like, maybe he's a mobile gun emplacement turret combining the power cores of 3 basic grunts into one powerful cannon, which, to be fair, the Decepticons forcing a bunch of reflectors to do that is pretty on point, and with the size of that focusing lens, he'd be a terrifying beast on the battlefield. Just like... Really, this mode is kind of perfect for an army builder, actually. Basically, you need a fire squad of 3 to do anything with him. They have a squad leader with the dummy port. They each have their own vehicle mode, and then you can abuse them until they glom together into a big battle cannon for the other bots to use. I mean, they even have the midway, not totally combined yet box mode where you can stick the shield and the gun on them, and you've got a storage mode so they take up less space when they're being transported to the battlefield en masse. One quick note about transforming him back to the robot mode. The gun is pegged in fairly firmly, so if you're having some issues getting it to separate, like so, just kind of wiggle this back and forth and it should pop out pretty easily. And second, his legs and hips kind of look the same no matter which direction they go, so make sure to rotate his hips back to the proper position. The front has this raised area, and the backside has this hole in it to help you tell the difference. Okay, moving on. I feel like I should mention that there's the Refractor Reconnaissance Team 3-pack available as a special order thing from Hasbro, which took 3 of these guys, gave them the original toys, colors, and some extra accessories to make them look more like a camera, like a flashbulb, hand grip, and some shoulder pods for Viewfinder's Viewfinder, and Kremzeek. And not gonna lie, I'm not into it. Like, it's kind of cool and it's impressive that Hasbro went that extra mile to get your money, but the main appeal of this guy to me is that he is an indistinguishable grunt, not a specialized, unique character. I want a group of identical doughboys, not a carefully crafted boy band, sort of like preferring the normal Dalek soldiers to the new Paradigm design, you know? Also, I already bought 3 of these guys. I'm not going to buy another trio just for a display piece. Really, my only complaints with him are fairly minor. Like, I mentioned how some hoverboard pegs would be fun for his vehicle mode, or maybe a 4th accessory that's a missile pod that would peg into his shoulders and then be combined and positioned like a camera flash or viewfinder in the camera mode. Hint, hint, any third-party makers who might be watching. I know this guy came out like a year or so ago, and we've all moved on, and some of you even made some kinds of things to make him look more camera-like, but that would be pretty sweet. Sorry, rambled a bit there. So yeah, Refractor isn't just an excellent army builder, he's also a fun figure on his own. Sure, you kind of need 3 of him for the full experience, but he's still a solid solo soldier who stands sentinel with his samey squad of... Okay, ran out of S's there. Sorry. But yeah, Hasbro really nailed Reflector's second real toy since ever. Which is good, because honestly, who thinks Reflector's ever going to get another toy like this? And for that matter, does he really need another one after this beauty? I don't think so. Refractor isn't just a model on the runway who looks good for the camera. He's a violent, violet valedictorian of the Siege line and an excellent addition to any collection. If you're a Reflector fan or building a display of dastardly Decepticons, you kind of almost need him, at least to fill out the background and to have him running between the feet and legs of the other larger Decepticons. So yeah, great job, Hasbro. 2 thumbs up. As for what I'll cover next, I think we'll stick with the War for Cybertron line for a little bit and turn our attention to the one Autobot leader who will never stop trucking. Until then, be safe and always remember to play well.